8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Fields cuts inside, left to the end zone, touchdown!
Welcome to For Fantasy's Sake, a weekly fantasy football presentation presented by the For Frequency's Sake podcast network. For Fantasy's Sake is brought to you by Clint's Draft House, and the network's brought to you by Durham Remodeling and Ryan Allison Tattoo. I am your host, Half Alive DJ Jarvis. I'm joined by Dan, the Parlay God Hancock, and Jordan. I woke up 10 minutes ago. Kernan, how you guys doing this morning?
Doing good, man. I think we got to switch that Dan the Parlay Man. I think that might sound better.
Oh, that's good.
Get the rhyme in there.
I do like that. And it was 8 minutes ago. So Jordan awake 8 minutes ago, Kernan.
Guys, I'm like I said, half dead here. So anything that you get from me is a bonus. It's a daily double. Guys, do anything fun with your Saturday?
Oh yeah, I worked. That was about it. You know, we had a nice little. It's some good college basketball games to watch. Some good football games. Hit a couple parlays. We didn't post anything yesterday just because by the time I get home from work, I was too exhausted to even look at social media for about 5 hours. But I know the one play I did post, you did tail and it lost. So the luck started running out again. I needed a fade Daniel day.
I just would fade anything that I tail. I would just immediately just cash it out.
I was honestly, when I saw you tailed it, I was debating on fading my own play and doing it on a different app so you wouldn't see it. So I'd come out with a profit either way.
It's fair. That's fair.
Nope, I lost a parlay yesterday. I had Joe Mixon 3+ catches, Zach Moss 2+ catches, and Jahmyr Gibbs 3+ catches. Jahmyr finished on 2. It's just been rough. But I did have my first ride along yesterday, so I'm getting pretty excited about starting a new job.
Yeah, that'll be a good time. Let's play some fantasy Tinder. Maybe Joe will join us for our fun game next up, but let's talk fantasy Tinder. First thing on the board here, Justin Fields. Is he a must start even against the Browns this week?
I think swipe right, but leave it in the comments. I mean, I feel like both of these teams have been very hit or miss. There's days where this Browns defense is top tier, and then there's days where you think, oh, they're playing against a weaker, older team, and it should be easy game, and then they give up 31 points like they did against the Rams. So I would swipe right on this one if it's like you had Herbert as your other quarterback or someone who's just been struggling the last couple of weeks. But I would just hold out to see if you can find any last minute information on it.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. If you drafted him as your starter, I mean, obviously he was kind of hurt there for a little bit. So you have, you picked up a backup. So if you picked up somebody like, say, Sam Howell, I don't think he's a must start, because if you have somebody like Howell, I mean, he is going up against a pretty bad Rams defense. I mean, it really all depends on you have. I mean, you had to replace Fields with somebody at some point. I don't think he's a must start then. So I'd swipe left.
So I am actually in a situation, I just realized as we're talking, I do have Fields in a league, and I'm starting him over Tua. So it's not like my my other options real great, playing against the team that allows the second fewest fantasy points in the Jets. And I think what was Black Friday where Tua scored like 3 fantasy points against them because he threw on 2 straight passes, a pick six, and then another interception. So, and Jordan, I think it was you that on another quarterback news, Jalen Hurts has been downgraded, but I think he was questionable before with something different. He's now questionable with an illness. So,
Oh,
And
really?
see that's such a hard one too because they play Monday night, and if it's like do you risk him not playing against the Seahawks defense that's been pretty poor?
yeah.
Them coming off a big loss, or do you just hold out hope and maybe hope you get Mariota to have a good game and you just pick him up as a last minute addition?
That's what I play. I think that I'm looking at it at this if I'm a Hurts manager is I'm saying who would I rather play, Marcus Mariota or my other option? Because you're obviously playing Hurts if he's playing, but at this point I feel pretty nervous, especially in a road game. Just he's going to travel to Seattle separate from the rest of the team. It's one of those that I think that I would just say, do I want to start Marcus Mariota or, quarterback B, or if you're in a super flex and you have that option, player B.
And that's the thing too is Geno's questionable. So do you trust Locke versus that defense? Do you trust Mariota, or do you just roll the dice and hope to God they have a good and hope you have a backup quarterback on Sunday that can kind of contribute?
Yeah. Do you think so? If you're a Hurts owner, are you just kind of right now, if you have droppable guys, are you just going out there and picking up Drew Lock and Marcus Mariota? That way you can make a decision tomorrow if Hurts doesn't play. Like, what are you doing there?
I think if you're in a league where there's not a lot of quarterback options, you tend to already have a second QB. I mean, unless you I know a lot of times in my league, I usually I tend to keep one if I have if I get one of the top 5, I get like a Mahomes or like a Tua or something, I tend to just keep them and then stream them on the bye week. But I think if you have a second quarterback, unless it's I would say unless it's a like Sam Howell going up against Aaron Donald, someone who I feel like I haven't seen a lot of people pick him up, but might actually be a good pickup in this scenario if you don't want to risk it, is Joe Flacco. He's been pretty good the last couple of weeks, and he's going against a Bears defense that's 3rd in most receiving yards allowed and most passing yards. So especially he's got that connection with Elijah Mitchell. Njoku had a good week last week. So if you have Njoku, or not Elijah Moore, not Elijah Mitchell. But if you have Njoku, or you have anyone, if you're let's say you might be going up against a guy that has for God's sake, a Bears defense. He could I think he could definitely, he's not going to give you Hurts level numbers, but he could give you a good 10 to 15 points.
Jordan, what's your move? Because this was your question, wasn't it? About, so what are you going to do?
If it's me, it all depends on who you have. I mean, it's kind of the same thing that you said. I mean, it depends on who you have for your backup. If you have a serviceable backup, I'm just starting my backup. Especially with the fantasy playoffs going on right now, because to me, that's one thing that you really can't afford to take a risk on. You can't take a risk on, I mean, I like the option of picking up Mariota or, Drew Lock, but, I know the Eagles are a little bit better against the run than they have passed, and Lock's got a start under his belt already. So, I mean, you could tear up the Eagles in the passing game, where I think if Mariota is under center, he's going to use his legs a little bit more just because that's the kind of quarterback he is. And I could see him handing off to Swift, getting Gainwell involved, Boston Scott a little bit more. I just don't think that they would give him the ball and let him just rip the ball.
For sure.
So,
well, and that's, I mean, you mentioned Drew Lock, he did. I mean, he didn't do great, but he didn't do half bad against San Francisco's defense. You're going up against a weaker defense this week. With Geno's struggles, if he's still not, do you put that's the question you kind of got to see is, do they put enough faith in, Locke did solid against the Niners, we're going against a weaker defense, do we just let Geno sit another week?
Yeah. That'll be interesting to
It's
see.
a tough one. It's a tough one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. All right, the next option here, especially in the fantasy playoffs, are we? If you're in a scenario where you own both A Chain and Mostert, are you starting them both?
I don't think you're going to have to make that decision because if I'm not mistaken, I believe Achane out, or
He's still questionable. Last I
he's
saw,
still questionable.
but
He only logged a limited practice on Friday, but from what I read somewhere that he was trending more towards doubtful. Don't quote me on it. I remember reading something about it yesterday. But I mean, they've kind of got a weird split going on. It's kind of the same, like I'm trying to think of who the other running back is. There's two running backs. There's a
Jeff Wilson
kind of
Jr.
thing going. No, yeah, there's Jeff Wilson, but he would get, Mostert's basically getting all the groundwork, where Achane's coming in and getting most of the passing game work. Is Mostert still getting some passes? Yes, absolutely. I think if Achane's out, I think Mostert's role stays the same. I think they bring in Jeff Wilson Jr. to take over Achane's role, and Mostert still just gets a lot of the groundwork. But I guess the question is, do you have to start both? Or are they both start? I think they're both startable. Absolutely. The upside's there for both of them. So I'd swipe right.
I think I would swipe right and leave this one in the comments as well, just because, I mean, we see it all the time when it's a two-back system. If one of them is hot, the other one doesn't touch the ball. And, I mean, obviously we've seen the game where they both had, like one of the greatest fantasy games this season when they both put up, I think 30-something points. But, like, a lot of these teams that run this two-back system, when one is hitting, the other one is not seeing the field. And that's the thing you kind of risk right now is if, like, let's say they start to blow out the Jets, we're not going to probably see a lot of Achane because if he's still leaning towards the doubtful side, then they're not going to risk putting him in a game against the Jets when they have bigger games coming up and the playoffs coming up in a couple of weeks. So I think you'd more likely, if this game gets kind of ugly, you're more likely to see the third string running back over Achane. But when they're fully healthy, yes. I mean, I think the way they run this system is perfect, and it makes it even harder.
They had that game a few weeks ago. I think it was against the Panthers where Achane had like 3 touches in the first 3 quarters and then had like 15 touches for 80 some odd yards and 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, even if you've watched like the Hard Knocks in season, Mike McDaniel just does no one really knows what's going on in his head when he makes these decisions, and it usually works out because the team's so good.
I mean, it's similar to what Frisco was doing pre CMC too, and that's
and I think it's more just who's the rhythm going towards right now? Who are they figuring out who to stop? And I just think this is a matchup where I wouldn't double start them this week. I think next year when they're both healthy, I think it's definitely a viable game plan.
Realistically, between Terrell Davis and Christian McCaffrey, it was just the storyline with Shanahan coach teams.
Oh yeah,
they're just going to use 900 running backs, and you're probably not old enough to remember Shanahanigans. So
yeah, I'm just a baby.
Speaking of the Bears that we talked about in the first slide, is DJ Moore, is he going to be a first-round pick in 2024 fantasy drafts?
I'm going to swipe left on this one. I think he's had a great year this year. But what I've noticed a trend of is no matter how good the receiver is, no matter how good the connection is between a receiver and quarterback, the first year it becomes viable. The second year it struggles a lot because teams have a lot more time to kind of sit down and look at that game plan and say, okay, how are we going to stop this? I think he'll finish easily top 10 wide receivers next year. But my big thing I always look at in drafts is I always go running back heavy first because you can always find like a tier 2, tier 3 level wide receiver that can still put up the numbers of a tier 1 wide receiver, but it's very rare you're going to find a tier 2 or 3 running back that could put up the numbers of like a McCaffrey of like a Saquon, something like that. So that'd be the only reason he wouldn't be a first rounder for me, is just because I know a lot of the leagues I'm in, they tend to go running back heavy to start, and I mean we sometimes see Tyreek drop like to like the 10 or the 11 spot.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be a first round next year. I'm swiping left. I mean, he's really relying on that quarterback play, and I don't know, like Field out, like, yeah, he still put up serviceable numbers, but they weren't like wide receiver 1 numbers. I just feel like there's, even if you had just 12 wide receivers on the board for round 1, I think he falls in then. But just to Dan's point, I mean, there's definitely 12 players that I'm drafting before.
Yeah, I think I could see him in like the first half of the second round. There's just too many players. Just you're obviously thinking there's a handful of running backs that you're taking for sure, like CMC, Saquon, probably still a first round. Bijan, Jahmyr Gibbs, those kind of guys are definitely first rounders. And then you have your stud wide receivers, Jefferson, Chase, Tyreek, probably, if he doesn't like retire to do adult films,
I think if he makes a first round, I think it'd be one of those sneaky scenarios where like a big name, like top 5 wide receiver gets hurt in the playoffs and they're going to miss like 8, like what we saw last year with D-Hop, where D-Hop drops just because he was missing the first 8 games of the year.
For sure.
So I think it might just be one of those, like, do I risk taking this guy now and then not being able to use him for the first 5-6 weeks, or do I just go ahead and take DJ Moore instead and then live with the fact that this guy might burn me later on?
For sure. All right, and first round this past year, we saw a lot of Travis Kelce make it. Obviously, probably he looks really old. Is he even the first tight end off the board, or are we looking at this guy next year?
I'm
swiping left. I don't think he's the number 1 off the board. If I had to guess, I'm saying Sam Laporta.
I'm closing the app and restarting it with this one. I just, you know what it is? Him and Laporta both have the potential, I think, if Kelce kind of regresses the way he has so far, I think both of them could finish potentially tight end 1 next year. But I just think there's too many people out there that, everyone, it's like the same thing every year with Mark Andrews that we hear of, like, yeah, he kind of struggled, but like, what if he goes off again? Like, and then you miss out on him going off because you didn't take him with your 8th pick and you could have. So I think for the next year or two, it's still going to be Kelce because I mean, how often do you see a tight end going top 5 half the time in drafts? Like, right. And finishing first round, like like the disparity between him and then Andrews was just so crazy. I think we have another year before it falls off.
Yeah, hopefully we get the old patented Kansas City Chiefs get right game today. So we'll head to commercial on the backside. We're going to play a little bit of a different game. We're going to have an FFSQC ladder match. It's going to be like connections, but a little different. I'll explain it to you guys on the backside. So let's go to commercial, and we'll be right back.
Durham Remodeling has been serving the Quad Cities area since 1973, and with over 50 years of excellence on their track record, you'll see why it's so easy to trust their experts when it comes to all of your home improvement projects. This family-owned business has you covered on all your needs. Protect your home or building from the elements today and get great roof repair services. Need new windows? No problem. Durham Remodeling can upgrade your windows and doors. Whether you want to upgrade the little details in your home or office, or want to tear a room down and start fresh, the expert contractors at Durham Remodeling have your back. Even the smallest changes can completely transform your space. Ready to start entertaining your friends for backyard barbecues? Durham Remodeling will help you plan, design, and build your deck and patio for the perfect outdoor space. Durham Remodeling's work is 100% guaranteed, so you can rest assured that you're getting the best service around. Call 309-786-6715 today for your free estimate for all your roofing, siding, flooring, windows, and painting needs. That's Durham Remodeling, 309 786 6715.
My name's Ryan Allison. I've spent over a decade immersed in the art of tattooing. Sharply honing my skills has materialized into a diverse and prestigious body of work. Each tattoo reflects my relentless pursuit of excellence, and every client I work with is a living embodiment of that unwavering commitment. I will gladly and wholeheartedly embrace your distinct vision.
All righty, we are back here. I just want to do a quick promo here. Make sure you tune in tonight. If you're a big pro wrestling fan, tune in to our pro wrestling podcast, Card Subject to Change. They will be reviewing the year that was in professional wrestling, giving away some awards, match of the year, stuff like that. I know Jordan voted in it. So I also voted in it because I love wrestling too. But yeah. So this is kind of like Connections. We're going to have four guys, each category. Each person has their own category. Obviously, the show Winkle did not show up. Parlay God Dan's here. Officer K is here. We don't have Brian, but we're still going to use their stuff. You get 1 point for guessing a player that's in there. So players can be used multiple places. That's where it's going to become a little easier. It's skill position, guys. You get 1 point for guessing a guy who fits. You get 2 points if you guess the specific. Like if you say, I'm going to go in Joe's category and I'm going to guess Travis Kelce, then you get 2 points. If you solve their category, you get 5. Make sense? And we'll go 6 rounds. Whatever we have on 6 rounds, then we'll go back and forth until we can guess the 4 categories.
I'm going to let Jordan go first.
Yeah, so Jordan, just name a player if you want to guess a specific place. And your categories are based on things I know about you.
All right. Well, let's go. We'll put Dak Prescott under Officer K.
Let's see. So you're going to get 2 points there.
Let's see. Knowing your way to annoy Joe, I'm gonna put Brock Purdy under Joe.
He's not there.
Oh my god!
So since Joe's, we can go. Do we want to go with the original category I gave Joe before he didn't show up?
Sure.
All right, we'll go with the original category, and then I'll tell you what the other category was.
I'm going to go Kyle Pitts under the Parlay God.
And I will say, you guys, I do want to tell you, you don't have to do specific. It is worth more points. So we'll give you 3 points for going specific, 1 for going non-specific.
So my category's got to be something like players Daniel has raged on the stream about. God, mine just might be all Falcons players at that point. Okay, under me. Are coaches involved with it? You said it's just skill players, right?
Just skill players, yes, sir.
Damn, I was gonna put Arthur Smith.
I was going to say that too.
I don't know what I'm thinking. Under me, put Adam Thielen. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking.
Under Joe, Josh Allen.
giving him a nickname now. Joe's furious. Damn, I was gonna say under Joe the college football committee, but no way.
That would be step 4.
So when I did switch his category, I did most definitely switch it to guys whose alma maters are in the college football playoff.
Under Brian, I'm gonna go Freiermuth.
He's not there.
I was getting ready to. I'm glad you took him because I was going to go same category, but Kenny Pickett.
Nope. Again, you guys can make general guesses as well. It doesn't have to be under the specific person.
I need the points. I got to keep a domino one here.
That's true.
Yeah.
We're gonna go more than 6 rounds because we have less people, but
okay. Under Brian are the Steelers players?
No.
Under mine, let's go Jerome Ford.
That was the quickest 0 I've ever seen you type. Under me, go Baker Mayfield. Damn, I was thinking like players that pissed me off this year, or sold me by 1 yard.
All right, I'm just gonna go CeeDee Lamb in general.
You guys were hot and heavy to start, and now I feel like
now we're panicking.
Sucked. I ran out of all the good things.
I got a long shot here, but I'm gonna try it. Under Joe, Will Levis. I was thinking quarterbacks that beat the Dolphins.
That would have been a good one.
Trying to think of who else Joe aged about on any of his podcasts. Under Brian, let's go Bijan Robinson.
I do want to remind you guys, you can go general guesses for a point as well.
Sounds like a hint on that one.
Dude, Jalen Hurts.
What the hell?
Oh, DJ's frozen. Game over.
Okay.
It's 2 points for you there, Dan.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah. Suck it, Jordan.
all right. Well, I'm just gonna go with Bijan Robinson in general.
Oh my God, is mine all Falcons players or something? What the fuck? Give me Jonnu Smith. Yeah, I knew it.
I was gonna say him next. All right, let's close his out, and we'll go in general Desmond Ridder.
Yeah, but you should have guessed his category there.
So the category,
but
Falcons,
I didn't want to risk the 1 point.
the category is Falcons players
Yep.
that have lost me a lot of money. Except Jonnu. I always love Jonnu. I'm getting me a Jonnu Smith jersey next week. Damn, I went 5 in a row without a single guess right. That's sad.
Let's go Justin Fields.
I'm going to guess Joe's category. I'm going to go MVP candidates. No shot. I got that. Because that's what I was like, all right, Purdy. That was going to piss him off.
Oh, God. I'm trying to think of quarterbacks now. Now I'm blanking. It was CJ Stroud.
All right. I'm gonna guess Jordan's category. His top quarterbacks for daily DFS.
Say it one more time.
His top quarterbacks for DFS, because I feel like he always uses at least one of those 3 every week in a lineup.
That is not it.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness! Like I feel like I should know my own stuff. Who would the other quarterback be?
All right. So what's pissed you off this year? Because it seems like the theme has pissed us off.
That is not his. That was just
that's just me and Joe's.
I feel like
A-Chain is active, but Tyreek Hill is inactive. By the way, no Tyreek.
Wow.
That's. I mean, honestly, that's big. That makes me hate that game a lot. Let's go with. God, I don't even know, man. I don't even know. Let's go with. I'm lost right now. I'm gonna. My category is the quarterbacks that I've mentioned on the show the most.
It is not.
Okay, I'm gonna go as a generic guess, Tyreek Hill.
It is not. But I will. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in the guys on the board that are already on the board that fit into other categories for you guys. Okay. All right, Jordan. Can you fill out anybody's, either you or Brian's? And you could, I guess, realistically, you could make a guess to fill out Brian's, but
yeah, let's go with Jordan Love.
Nope, not on there.
No.
You said Tyreek Hill wasn't available. He wasn't on, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Jordan's is so simple. It's hard.
Say for Jordan, is it quarterbacks with no, that wouldn't be it. That wouldn't be it.
Oh, I know it. Wait, no, I don't.
Is Justin Jefferson anywhere on there?
He is not. All right, Jordan, final guesses?
No, I really don't. I can't think of any. I was going to say quarterbacks who beaten the Eagles, but I was like, the Eagles only have 3 losses.
Dan?
Oh.
My guess was going to be quarterbacks that threw for 300 against the Commanders. I went super specific with it.
So ooh, that looked ugly. Brian's was super easy too, but you guys never went to his thing. It's just SEC quarterbacks.
Oh my god!
And Jordan's is QBs over 7K this week.
Dang it! I suck at these games.
I still won though. So
you what?
I still won.
You did. You did still win.
Located in the Belgium neighborhood of 7th Street in Moline, Clint's Draft House Pizza and Grill is home to some of the Quad City's best food and drink specials. On Sundays, there's no better place to be. Clint's is serving up $1 wings and $2.50 drafts and domestics all day. And your favorite team playing in those out-of-market games? You'll never miss a second of the action on one of their 10 screens with NFL Sunday Ticket. And after you've had your wing and beer fix, finish off your football watching experience with one of their famous Quad City-style pizzas. And folks, they know pizza. They've been spinning QC-style pies for the last 24 years. So make Clint's part of your Sunday football routine. Clint's Draft House Pizza and Grill, 7th Street in Moline.
Are you looking for the largest slice in the Quad Cities? The right spot is Lopez Pizza. It's better than a hot dog and a handshake. They have 2 great locations, uptown on Brady for your delivery and catering needs, and downtown at 429 East 3rd Street in Davenport for the full experience. Lopez is family-owned and family-friendly. Into wrestling like us, you can catch shows every day and twice on Sunday at their downtown location. Who knows, you may run into a local wrestler or a local podcaster or 2 while you're there. Stop by each month for a different featured slice by various artists. Lopez Pizza, a proud sponsor of the Card Subject to Change podcast on the For Frequency's Sake podcast network.
For Frequency's Sake has you covered on all things sports. From the squared circle to the hardwood and the gridiron to the speedway, we've got something for everyone. Walk down the aisle with the boys from Card Subject to Change every Sunday as they take a deep dive into everything pro wrestling. Need your gambling fix? We've got you there. Enter Pit Row with Rod Villagomez and Fast Money as we win the checkered flag with NASCAR, Xfinity, and truck race winners and props. Football more your style? Explore the waters of NFL DFS with DFS Deep Dive with Brian Craighead and Jordan Kernan each week. More into the science portion of the game? We've got a double dose of action there. The Professor John Bush and Dennis Michelson take you into their science lab and dissect your week in the data lab. Want an analytical take? Nick Gurl and the team at Gridiron AI come to you each week with The Lab. Need to know who to start last minute? The network's flagship show, For Fantasy's Sake, is here in a pinch. The fellows come to you live every football Sunday from 10 to 11:30 Central with the week's best DFS, gambling, and lineup advice. And wrap up your Sundays with Joe Winkle and Nick Brinks as they come to you live with educated ignorance looking at all the day's action. Can't get enough of Joe? He comes to you 3 times a week. Not enough football on Sunday? Not a problem. Kick your feet up at lunch on Monday and slip on into the football lounge with Mark and Dan while they look at the week that was in news, notes, and more. For frequency's sake, you know what we mean.
We haven't seen Joe in 3 weeks, and Dan's still not on the promo.
Tragedy.
Does Joe even still work here anymore?
I don't know. He still texting me his things as his graphic designer.
Yeah, I told him one day, I said, you live a pretty charmed life. Everybody does their own graphics.
It's my fault for getting bored and setting up a template.
Yeah. No, it looks good though. It's much better than what the template I had for it. So good
I appreciate. Finally, I used my degree for something.
Tune in to Card Subject to Change tonight where they give their awards, and there's some pretty good graphics that I did on that one. So, all right, Jordan, the man in the middle.
Let's do it.
What's your favorite stack this week? Before you answer that, I do want to note there is this DFS show I tune into on TikTok every once in a while. They have an insurance company sponsor their DFS segment that they do their stacks of the week. They call them the bundles. So if anybody out there owns an insurance company, wants us your name right here, Jordan, point your fingers down. Right here during this segment, hit us up. It'll be next year because there's only like one more live show this year. But hey, Jordan, who you stacking this week?
This week, I'm stacking Jordan Love and Jaden Reed. That's right now. That's probably my favorite stack on the slate. It's super cheap. Jordan Love's only 6,200. Jaden Reed is 4,900, and it lets you pretty much do whatever else you want with your lineup. One of my other favorite stacks is I don't mind. It's super expensive, but Dak Prescott to CeeDee Lamb. I like that side of the game. It's the highest game highest game total on the slate. It's a close spread. I still honestly don't understand why the Cowboys are underdogs in the game. I understand it's on the road. It's at the Bills, but the Cowboys are just playing so hot right now. It's insane. Favorite running back of the day is Kyron Williams. Yeah, there's been a lot of injuries that have kind of been coming out. Noah Brown is in for the Texans, but Case Keenum's going to be throwing him the ball, so I'm kind of staying away from that.
Are they playing Keenum and not Davis Mills?
Yes, that is the report.
Nice.
So I don't mind. I don't mind it, but going up against who are they playing? Tennessee today?
Yeah. Tennessee wearing the Houston Oilers throwbacks.
Yeah, so you can throw
that's hilarious.
It's Tennessee. You can throw the ball against them. It just kind of worries me. I don't know when was the last time Case Keenum threw a football in a live game. There's been a lot of I've been kind of getting injury reports. We talked about Jalen Hurts and him kind of the illness that he had has gotten worse. So talking about how he might not play. That doesn't matter because that's not on today's slate. Chris Olave is out for the Saints. Rashid Shaheed is back and healthy, so I don't mind Rashid Shaheed at all. Ezekiel Elliott is getting the start again for New England. I understand they're going up against the Chiefs, but Zeke caught 8 passes last week. So he is somebody who I'm kind of locked in on. And then one other person is Antonio Gibson, who is getting the start today against the Rams with Brian Robinson being out.
So I will ask you on your stacks, and I'm sure we've discussed this before, but I'm sick and it's whatever week this is. Are you the type of person, when you stack, do you like to bring it back from somebody from the other side, or do you kind of, or is it game by game basis?
It depends. It's a game by game basis. The game, like I said, I like the Green Bay Tampa Bay game 100%. I don't know why. I just have a weird feeling about it. So Jordan Love to Jaden Reed's kind of my stack. I also love Rashee Rice though, or not. I'm not Rashee Rice. Rashad White. Rashad White as a bring back. I mean, you can beat Green Bay on the ground, and Rashad White, I kind of mentioned it in the podcast on Friday, is like a poor man's Kyron Williams. Kyron Williams gets all the work. He rushes the ball 20 plus times a game. He gets 5 plus targets a game. Rashad White is the same player. He just doesn't do any. He's just not as explosive as Kyron Williams is. He gets the ball 15 to 20 times a game. Whether it be on the ground or in the air, he's the guy who's in there if they're down. And I just think that game. I think that game kind of goes a little bit back and forth. It's Tampa Bay can be passed on and Green Bay can be ran on, and I just think that game. I think they're both fighting for playoff spots. Tampa Bay needs a win to stay on top of the NFC South. Green Bay's holding on to the third wild card spot right now. They need a win. I mean, I think both teams come out, and I think that's probably one of the highest scoring games on the slate. And if we were talking about games we're going to watch that aren't your team, that's going to be the game I'm going to be watching.
Well, not to mention too with Rachaad White, because I'm high on him this week too. We have a couple stat like bets I've liked with him. He does it so quietly too that I feel like DraftKings and FanDuel just can't catch up with his lines sometimes, because it's not like, here's a big 60-yard run and then 15 10-yard runs right after it. Or like 5-yard run. It's like 23, 4 yards at a time. He'll break one for 9 or 10, and then he'll have because against teams who have had very solid running defenses, he's put up 100 yards. So I'm with you on that. I like that one. Big one that I was curious on when it comes to tight ends is Okonkwo is kind of set up for a big game this week, and his number is very low. Is that someone you're kind of looking at?
So that was who, when this all started. So like I said, especially for like my ladder challenge and stuff, I usually play guys who are super high owned. Chigo now isn't even in the top 10 of ownership. At $2,900, the guy's involved. Levis trusts him. He throws him the ball. He runs routes. When I first started putting this together, like at the beginning of the week, he was somebody who I plugged in automatically. $2,900 for a guy with his potential is just insane to me. And it lets you do, you stack Jordan Love, Jade, and you put Chigo Okonkwo in at the tight end position, you can do whatever you want with the rest of your lineup. It doesn't even matter. And there's a lot of, like I said, with Olave being ruled out, Rashid Shaheed's cheap. There's a lot of people who are on DeMarcus Robinson this week. In my opinion, yeah, he's super cheap. But I think last week was like a fluke. I think the Rams lean heavy on the run this week, and they go back to Nakua and Kupp. Really like Demario Douglas from the Patriots. They're going to have to throw. I do think the Chiefs kind of come out, and I mentioned it on the podcast. I think the Chiefs come out angry, and this is kind of Bill Belichick's last shot. So either he's going to have a really good game, or he's going to coach one of the worst games he's ever coached, and the Chiefs are going to blow him out. And if they do, if the Chiefs are up 3 touchdowns, New England's got to throw. They got to throw to somebody. So.
No, I think that was one that I was really looking at. I think another one, another stack I've been kind of looking at, and I'm actually really curious to see, because I talked about him earlier, and it's always weird because this guy has always been kind of iffy, it seems, some weeks. But Elijah Moore and Joe Flacco, I think, is a solid low budget one. Now it's different when you have like a guy like that where this team, it just feels like he's not got a favorite receiver, but his most top connection, I think, is with Moore, because he came over with him, he played with him in New York as well. So I think that was my stack this week for quarterback. Wide receiver I took that one. It was a little bit of a stretch. I was kind of playing a little dangerous with it, because I've kind of been struggling in DFS. So I just figured, why not get something out there that can, high ceiling, low floor kind of thing. But I want to know your thoughts on Kamara. Is that worth the price? Because I know you mentioned Shaheed, and if with Taysom Hill still technically questionable, I kind of like Kamara to, especially with the way like the New York field's not really that good. Derek Carr kind of sucks. Like I feel like we could see another game where Kamara just touches the ball every other play.
Yeah, I like that. It was kind of the way I went last week. Was Kamara had a great matchup against the Panthers defense, and the game played out exactly what you thought. Because last week you were like, you know what, these guys, they play together. They don't break huge scores. And I'm like, when you started talking about it, I got nervous, because I'm like, man, I really like this spot for Kamara. And then I played him, and he almost cost our cash lineup. Like, so the ladder challenge almost went down in things in week 1. But we had the rest of the stack was pretty good. I do like it just because you save $600, or I'm sorry, you save $700 off of Christian McCaffrey, and they both have, McCaffrey's got the higher floor, and he's got the higher ceiling, but Kamara's got just as high of a ceiling. We We've seen it before. He could do it again, and he's super involved in the pass game. And if Tommy DeVito keeps playing like he's been playing, and and New York can make it a game, yep, exactly. If they can make it a game, where I think that the San Francisco Arizona game, I think just a complete and total blowout, and McCaffrey doesn't see the field a ton. I think Kamara's the better play again this week, just because I think that game could stay close. And with no Olave, I could see a lot of dump downs. If Shaheed can't get open, so yeah, I like Kamara.
Yeah, I think the only other one I was like, is it worth paying up for a defense this week? Or because I feel like there's a lot of these matchups that look like it can be ugly and then it just turns into a high scoring contest. Like I know there's been weeks where it was like Tennessee, Cleveland, where I thought, oh, two stagnant offenses, no one's going to score. And they scored like 50 something points. So is there like a low budget defense that you kind of like? For me, it's the I got the Browns this week. I just think I paid, the mid price for them. But I was also looking at Tennessee. I don't know how you feeling about that one.
I had Tennessee locked in my lineup, especially with Stroud being out. That's somebody who I kind of gravitated towards. I didn't realize they were so high priced still, though. Like, I don't know where DraftKings got off on that one. Like, if it were me, like if I'm DraftKings, like I feel like they're more like a $3,100 deal, especially against, at the time we didn't know that Stroud was going to miss. So I think DraftKings did the right thing, and they were like, hey, you know what? We're going to price this up as he does miss, and he did. And but I still think they're worth it. Like I said, going up against Case Keenum, they're without. I don't know. They're without Tank Dell. Obviously, he's out.
Nico Collins is questionable still.
Collins is active for Sunday's game, so Nico Collins isn't playing now either. So that leaves them with Noah Brown, Robert Woods, Xavier Hutchinson, and John Michie, and then Dalton Schultz is active this week too. So, I mean, you just look at some of the wide receivers, like Noah Brown's got a chance to do it. But like I said, I mean, you Case Keenum throwing you the ball. I really like Tennessee's defense now. They're actually one of the lowest owned defenses on the slate. But I do think that they have a huge potential for a good game. They're at home. No, they're at home. So I really like that. You could do a little secondary stack with your Chigokonkwo and the Titans defense. I don't mind that at all. I really like that. The other defenses that I was on, somebody who was kind of low, and this is just going based off my my high ownership one is the Rams. The Rams right now are in the top 5 of owned defenses at 3,100. I don't mind the Falcons at 3,600 either. I kind of talked about it in the podcast again on Friday. I feel like this is like, I don't know. To me, I feel like this is Carolina's Super Bowl. This is Carolina's game that they're going to come out. They've only got a few left. They're going to prove that, you know what, we can come out and we can win with Bryce Young. We can win with the team that we have. And I do think that this game is either a super big defensive battle or it's a high scoring back and forth. Like, where the hell did the Panthers come from this week?
Yeah, I think I'm opposite on you on that one, but I'll go over that one obviously when we get towards my bets. But no, I think another one I was looking at, and it was more just because I always make like whatever lineup I make in betting, I always try to do a fantasy lineup just for fun. Breece Hall was one I think I was looking at his price because in my head, whether this if this game does turn ugly and it turns into where the Jets are going to have to pass the entire second half, the ball is going to be a Breece Hall. If they want to try to dominate on the run, it's going to be to Breece Hall. I think between Wilson playing good last week in bad weather and then going to play a team where Breece Hall, I don't want to say, but has a history of being good against them. Particularly last year when he had that 100-yard game, I like him to, give you at least 30 yards rushing and 30 yards receiving, maybe, kind of vulture a touchdown. But we've also seen him break one. So I think that's the one I like. I'm curious though, you mentioned Jaden Reed. What's your thoughts if you didn't go Jaden Reed, if you stacked Romeo Doubs? Is he just too high of a price?
No, because I mean he's only $400 more. I don't know what it is, but it's like they don't like Dobbs is kind of like he's kind of just I feel like he's just out there sometimes. Like he's just out there running routes. And it's just Jordan Love's he looks Jaden Reed's way a lot more. Let's go to targets here, but I'm going to cover your Breece Hall thing real quick. Breece Hall's touched the ball at least on the ground. He's gotten at least 10 touches in the last 5 weeks, and targets. He's got at least 6 targets in the same amount of games. So I love Breece Hall as well. He was the running back options are just insane. I love the running back options this week. I'll be playing 3 running backs. I'll have a running back in the flex in every spot. But to go on your thing here on Jaden Reed and Romeo Dobbs. Yeah, I mean, Dobbs they're really getting pretty close to target share and receptions. I don't know. I just feel like Jaden Reed just does a little bit more. I feel like he's got a little bit more opportunity for yards after the catch. They look his way in the ends a little bit more. Jaden Reed in the last 5 weeks, 5 targets, 6 targets, 8 targets, 5 targets, 10 targets. He's got 2 touchdowns in those times. Romeo Dobbs, the last 5 weeks, 5 targets, 6 targets, 4 targets, 5 targets, 7 targets. He's also caught 2 touchdowns in those 5 weeks. But if you look at the scores, they're just significantly different. 12, 16, 6, 11, 7. And then you go to Jaden Reed. His scores 19, 19, 15, 5, 20. It just and it could be, it could be one of those things where, hey, everybody's on Jaden Reed. I'm going to play Jaden Reed. And then you get a little bit different and you just play Romeo Dobbs and maybe Dobbs has the game today. I mean, but just the way it's been the last 5 weeks, Jaden Reed just has the high floor. Like they look for him in the red zone. He has a little bit more explosiveness after the catch. I mean, I think I'm going to stick Jaden Reed. But if you wanted to get super different and you really like that game, and if you took Romeo Dobbs, right now Romeo Dobbs he's less owned than Dontavian Wicks. So if you had this, if Jordan Love ends up being the stack, so if it's a Jordan Love stacked with 1 piece or 2 pieces, and you went Jordan Love, Tucker Kraft, and Romeo Dobbs, and Dobbs has the game, you are going to be far and away way above the field in any of those stacks with that guy.
No, I like that. I think the only other one I did when I did my super flex, I paired up Stafford and Kupp just because of Washington's defense, and I really like down on running backs. I went Elliott, Gibson for my RBs. And I did McCaffrey and CD for my my 2 flexes. So I think that's probably the one I'm most confident in.
Yeah, I like. Gibson and Elliott. they're both getting the starts. They're both going up. I think they're both catching a lot of passes this week. I'm kind of locked in on those guys. Like I said, I like Kyron Williams. I like Elliott. I like Gibson. I like Rashad White. I like Bijan Robinson. I like Breece Hall. There are so many running back options that it's hard to pinpoint what I want to do for the ladder challenge because all those guys are super cheap. With the exception of Williams and White, but even Rashad, he's only just been priced up the last 2 weeks. He started the season at 5,500 and he just hit 7K this week.
All right, let's head to commercial on the backside. Dan will be the man in the middle. Jordan, is that still the basement or is that a different room that you're remodeling in the house?
No, this is the basement. We're still working on it. If you look at it,
looks fabulous.
I did the lights. We've got the second coating of mudding and taping. All I'm doing is sand. If you look at the floor, there's like a 2-inch thick layer of dust because I refuse to sweep it until I'm completely and totally done. I have to sand the ceiling, and then I think we're going to be good to paint. So it'll be a whole. I'm hoping by a few weeks from now, if we do anything for like playoffs and stuff, I'm hoping that it's done and it's looking nice.
Yeah, Jordan spent 2 decades sweeping the meat department, refuses to sweep his basement.
Take your energy level to new heights this football season with Lifted Energy. Try any of Lifted's 9 specialty energy drinks or create your own and conquer fatigue. Visit Lifted this fall at 2430 16th Street, Moline, or check their Facebook page at Lifted Energy to see what festival, market, or fair they are popping up at today. Lifted Energy, get lifted. Hate mowing? Need your lawn or business landscaped? Having trouble with an unruly yard that your neighbors hate? Yard Barbers LLC is your hookup. Mowing, weeding, edging, trimming, aerating, fertilizing, haul away, they can do it all. And they aren't just good for your summertime yard blues. They work all year long, and you can get signed up for their winter services for that annoying snow and ice removal. Find Yard Barbers on Facebook at Yard Barbers LLC, send them an email at yardbarbersqc@gmail.com, or shoot them a text at 309-235-1595.
All right, we are back. The future Mr. I don't want to butcher your fiance's name, so I'm not going to say that. The guy who does the betting stuff on our shows that actually shows up. We got Dan.
There we go. What a beautiful intro there. And we're gonna have our bets right here, mine and Joe's best bets for tonight over on the bottom of the screen. Oh, sorry, Mr. No Show Joe.
Oh, Joe the No
Joe the No Show.
Dan the Parlay Man and Joe the No Show. Oh, he's gonna yell at me for that. Okay, so my first play of today is, and this is why I said I was gonna get into it later. I am trusting the Falcons again. We're taking Atlanta -3. We put a little bit less than a unit on it because we took this play at the beginning of the week. And as I said on my stream on Monday, every early play we take, we put half a unit on because of the line movement. But this line stayed steady, and that's why I stayed at that point of -3. Carolina is got nothing to lose, but Atlanta has everything to lose. They're now in second place in the division. They have Tampa Bay going up against a Green Bay team that can easily kind of put them away. And the Saints go struggling and going into New York against a Giants team that is kind of hot right now. Sidebar, I love the fact that every other sport league is trying to generate superstars, and the NFL is just saying, oh, there's this Italian guy in New York, and he plays football. And that's it. And now he's like the fan favorite across the league. But Atlanta should be able to cover the spread. I think a lot of people are kind of in that same boat of Jordan, as they fumbled a lead last week. They're going into Carolina where they not really have played well historically. And I just think this Carolina, they have too much for this Carolina defense. Bijan carved them up the first time. Ritter was fairly solid the first time, and now that I feel like he's kind of getting into his stride towards the end of the year. I think it's a good time for him to dominate. Bryce Young should have a good game too, but I don't think the rest of that team can hold up to the Falcons. So give me Atlanta -3. The next play is in that same game. We're taking Bryce Young over 28.5 passing attempts. DJ, I know you're putting these in right now. Please don't jinx me. So as
I promise.
I'm actually gonna pull up this stat here.
What I was doing was I was taking a snapshot of Jordan and erasing everything but just his mustache so I can see him with just a mustache.
I won't do that. No mustaches.
So I'm going to share this screen over here to show you guys why I love this play so much. So if you look, DraftKings has it at 26.5. FanDuel has it at 28. So I took this at 28, and I'm still confident at there. But if you want an easier bet, I think you can get it, as far as I've seen, you can get it on DraftKings at 26. But this season, he has hit 27 or more passing attempts in every single game. He's hit 28 or more passing. He's hit 29. Only one game he had less than 30 passing attempts, and that was the game against Dallas. Every other game he's hit 40 once. He's averaging around 34 to 35 a game. The Falcons.
Shout out the app we're looking at.
Oh, this is Outlier. I said it on all my shows. Outlier is one of the best research apps I've ever used. They have a free month trial. I'll put that in a pinned comment on my Twitter page, Gotham Gambling. It's honestly a top tier app. They give you trends. They give you every insight possible. You could even look at this against certain spreads, when they're at home, when certain players are playing with him and when they're not. But regardless,
very great.
Head to head, the first time he played them, he had 38 passing attempts against them. This season, like I said, every game has been high on passing attempts. Now, the big thing is the Falcons rank in the top 10 in least amount of passing attempts, but they're still giving up 32 a game. So this line has kind of moved, as you could tell. It went up, it dropped down, it went back up. It's kind of been faltering back and forth to where we got to 26.5. So that's just one of the reasons why I love that play right there. Our next one, as I mentioned earlier, was Breece Hall over 27.5 receiving yards. I didn't take his rushing, I took his receiving because this team is garbage. If you look at, we're going to find his receiving prop here. So his line, it dropped down again. I took this at 27. It's dropped down to 26. But if you look here, head to head, he did not hit this in their last game, but he had 100 receiving yards the very first time he played against this team last October. Last 10 games, he's been kind of on and off. He's hit 2, lost 1. But the big thing to look at is right down here. Miami is giving up is in the bottom half of the league. They're giving up 32 yards per game to running backs in the air. And with the fact that if you look at his target share, he's getting about 6 targets a game out of 41% of passing plays that he's involved in. But not only that, if you look, there's the light gray is the amount of catches he has. The dark gray is the amount of targets he has. There's not a lot of difference between these. 5 catches out of 6 targets, 7 out of 9, 6 out of 8. They're not giving him tough plays. They're giving him easy catches. You could probably even take his receiving lines 3.5. That's also a good one. He's hit that in 7 of his last 10. As you can see, once the season's kind of progressed and Zach Wilson's kind of gotten more comfortable, he's hit this line every single time. So I really, really like that play right there. The next one is probably one of my favorites. We mentioned him. This guy is going to be my new Jonnu Smith. He's going to be my favorite tight end, only because he's hurt me too many times, and his name is just too fun to say. Chiggy Okonkwo. Now, I caught his line at 30.5. It's dropped down to 28. You can find it 28 on FanDuel, 31 on DraftKings. But head-to-head, he struggled last year, but he's hit this in 3 consecutive games. And you can even look at with Will Levis at quarterback. He's hit this in 3. The only 3 he's gotten close and missed were earlier in the season in games where they kind of had to rely on Derrick Henry and in blowout games. But again, the biggest thing to look at here is Houston gives up the 6th most passing yards in the league, and they give up the 3rd most receiving yards to tight ends. They give up 65 plus receiving yards. There's not really another tight end that other than Wiley that really gets a lot of the target share. If you see, look, Chiggy is getting 16% of the target share. He has 60 targets on the year, which should lead to, obviously, I think a couple broken tackles here. I think the defense is going to play aggressive with the way their offense is going to struggle. So I really think that that's going to be probably one of the better plays. We also took his reception line, which was 2.5 when I took it, and it still stayed at 2.5. Because look, even when he hasn't hit his yard line, he's hit the reception line just about every single game this year, except for 3. And those were teams who have given up the least amount of yards to tight ends this year. So that's that one. Our next couple of plays are pretty obvious ones. We got McCaffrey over 85.5 rushing yards. This was 89 on Monday. It's down to 85. I think they're expecting this game to be a lot closer, and he's not going to get as many touches. But McCaffrey has been dominant. We saw it last week. He had 75 yards on the first play of the game, and he hit his line of 95 like within the first 10 snaps he took. So I think even though this Arizona team has a solid defense in the run game, McCaffrey, the way they just battery him through the ball, eventually he's going to tire them down and he's going to break one for 15 to 20 yards. You could probably take his rush and receiving is close to 100. So I really, really like that one right there. Rams -6 is just an obvious play. I think a lot of people are expecting this game to be close, but I don't see anything Washington's going to do to keep this game close. The Rams defense has not been the best, but when you have Aaron Donald up there going against the team that gives up the most sacks and the most pressures, it's a rookie quarterback, he is going to struggle. Matthew Stafford should be able to take apart this defense, especially with, even though Tutu is still questionable, you have Puka healthy, you have Cooper Kupp healthy. I think he dominates that matchup. And the next one, I've been talking about this one all week with you guys. Y'all are probably sick of me saying anything about this, but Dallas money line and Dallas.
Not the only reason we're sick of you, bud.
Yeah, I know. Dallas money line, Dallas +2 is. I don't understand this line at all. I get the Bills beat the Chiefs, and that was a big game for the Bills. But they, in reality,
beat themselves.
Let's be real. Let's be real. And this is why I took this line. They did not beat the Chiefs. Kadarius Toney beat the Chiefs, and that's all it was. And I think they're overreacting to that, and the fact that Dallas has struggled on the road this year. But Dallas comes in after a dominant performance against a division team. Yes, they're playing in Buffalo, but there's no weather. The only thing that's going to be different is that they're playing in the cold outside. I think that this Bills defense has been so banged up. I don't see any way that they're going to stop CD. They're going to try to get him the ball, whether it's run plays, screen plays, whatever. Gallup and Cooks are going to have a solid game. Pollard should have a good game. And I think this Dallas defense is just going to be too much for Josh Allen. So give me the money line at +110. Give me the Dallas +2. I know Jordan's going to be mad as hell if they lose this game because he'll blame it on me.
I would tail this, but I really want the Bills to lose. So
I'm tailing it. So that means it will lose.
If we could regulate both of these teams out of the NFL, I'd be happy. But since we can't do that, I just want the Bills to lose.
I want to put a spreadsheet together of like bets that Jordan's copied and the bets that DJ's copied and just see the win percentage so I know when to fade myself. Or like when, like if both of y'all copy it, like how's it gonna do? But I do have one more play. It's for the night game. And if you guys have been following us over on Twitter at Gotham Gambling, we're gonna post a primetime same game parlay. We're gonna post a Sunday Night Football, and we used our 25% parlay boost on FanDuel, and we put a +800 parlay together that has a 95% success rate so far this season. So make sure you guys stay tuned in for that. It will be coming up within the next 20 minutes if DJ actually reposts my stuff for once. But the last play we have tonight is Lamar Jackson over 213.5 passing yards.
I thought that Doug too. Doug has access to the
shout out. Yeah.
You also have the username and password. Go retweet it yourself.
That's too much work. That's y'all's job. My job's just to make y'all money. The last play I have is Lamar Jackson's over on his passing yards 213. I've seen this down to 210. I've seen it up to 215. The line is moving because it is a primetime game, and we have seen a lot of iffiness in primetime game. Jacksonville is needing a big win this week, and I think that's why it's like this after the Ravens kind of struggled after the bye against the Rams. But Jacksonville gives up the third most passing yards of any team this year. I'm actually going to pull this up for you guys real fast so we can get on to the rest of our show. But this is my favorite thing to look at for this game. So obviously you can see his alternates here. Like he's hit all these. 213 is where his line's at. You could take the 200. It's just buying down maybe about 50 points, which isn't too bad. But if you look, the last 5, he's kind of been iffy, but it hasn't been bad games. It's been a blowout. It was a game where that was probably one of the ugliest games I've ever seen in football. And even though he's failed to hit this line as a favorite, they give up 265 passing yards a game. you have a team where Odell Beckham is starting to hit his mark. Zay Flowers is now the official top target with Mark Andrews out. Bateman's even been getting involved, likely played well. And they have a lot of these dump-off plays to Keaton Mitchell and Justice Hill where they just go little 2-yard hook routes and they sprint up the field so fast you can't catch them. With a team that's running a 50% pass rate, and about 10% of their run plays being RPOs for Lamar Jackson, I think they're going to be more worried about Lamar Jackson's legs than his arm, and he's going to go at least for 250 tonight. So that's our last play of the night. Again, we're going to have the full card posted on Twitter in the next about 25, 30 minutes. We're not going to have a 12:30 show today, but again, make sure you guys check us out Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 12 Central. We're going live, breaking down the slate for you guys that night.
All right, let's head to commercial. On the backside, we will answer your questions. We've got quite a few in here, so.
Do you love everything sports? So do we. That's why we shop at Atomic Sports Cards and Collectibles. Atomic has everything you could ever want to blow up your collections. They have sports cards ranging from the 1980s to today, whether it's singles, wax packs, hangers, or boxes. They've got vintage hats, clothes, and collectibles from your favorite teams to widen your collection. Check out Atomic Sports Cards and Collectibles today at 102 4th Street West, Milan, Illinois.
You from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football. Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and Twitter, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
You from the West, we got you covered.
All righty, and I also did want to shout out Atomic Sports Cards and Collectibles. It's not in our commercial, but they do have more than just sports cards. I actually took my nephew in there, bought $20 or so worth of Pokemon cards yesterday. So they have, if you're into that sort of thing, they got those as well. Dan and Lydia, if you're watching, I've got some Tua cards coming your way after he failed to score 12 points. On Monday night for me. I figure in your collection is better than a fire starter. So, all right, we've got some questions. I'm not going to pop this novel up on the screen for Mr. Jordan Rangel, but I'll just ask the questions. Debo or Garrett Wilson?
I think Debo this week. I think they're trying to get him ready for the playoffs with all these little screen passes. But he's been hitting his stride. In the end, everyone knows the ball's going to Garrett Wilson down the field, and I think they're going to try to guard him heavy this week.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Drake London or Chris Godwin?
I'm going to say London because Godwin's still questionable as of now with his knee injury. I think they're going to be trying to focus on the running game and these little quick short routes with Green Bay not being able to handle the run.
Agreed.
Yep, I agree. London.
Pick 2, Chris Godwin, Aaron Jones, Will Levis.
Can you just not put anyone in? Give me Godwin and Levis. Again, Aaron Jones also questionable, but they have too good of a run defense in Tampa.
Yeah, I'll take Godwin and Levis as well.
Godwin or Jaden Reed?
I think we all know the answer to this.
Jaden Reed.
Yep.
JSN or Wandale Robinson?
Wandale. Wow. Wow.
Vito.
Give me Wandale.
I would just put Olave in. Like you're probably I would say JSN because Philly's pass defense has not been the best. Even with Drew Lock tended to look for him a lot last week. So
yeah. Kenneth Walker or James Conner?
Walker.
Yeah.
Aaron Jones, Tyler Lockett, or Jerome Ford?
I don't mind Jerome Ford. Just because I feel like you're locked in with volume.
Yeah, you're for sure going Kincaid or Goddard. I will say they did really like throwing to the tight ends last week. It might be just because Kansas City's linebackers can't cover, but they were including Kincaid and Knox both in that game plan. But like you said, you're guaranteed.
Give me Kincaid just because I think with as good as the secondary has been in Dallas, that they're just going to try to do a lot more short passes so they can lead to a Gabe Davis long ball or Stephon Diggs long ball. I think they're going to be more focused on these little short out routes.
That's one Gabe Davis.
It's 3 for a bad luck.
A-Chain or Antonio Gibson?
Gibson.
Yeah, agreed.
He's the guy today. I mean, he's A-Chan. Even if A-Chan is healthy, he's still splitting carries. Where Gibson's probably going to have backfield to himself for the most part.
And especially with Aaron Donald coming down on him, he's gonna have to throw short passes.
And then the last one, Tyler Lockett or Amari Cooper?
Cooper. Joe Flacco has been playing great. The Bears' defense sucks. Give me Cooper.
Yep, I'm on board with that.
Alrighty.
See, this is why you have me and Jordan. We disagree. There's no argument. We don't get a uninterrupted argument. We just next one.
Right, and then Tua or Trevor Lawrence?
T-Law. I think that's going to be a lot closer of a game, and as good as both defenses are, I think I would rather trust Trevor Lawrence and the Ingram connection versus Tua and hoping Jalen Waddle goes off for 100.
Right, we're trying to beating the Jets secondary.
So card subject to change wants to know, will Seth Rollins love or hate? And they meant to say football today. It's a bit. It's like my I am not doing the dishes bit when the Chiefs lose. Seth Rollins hates football when the Bears lose. So I guess card subject to change is wondering, will the Bears win today?
Oh, Seth, I'm so sorry. You set yourself up for this, being a Bears fan. You knew what you had coming to you. I have to watch the Panthers all the time, so I'm with you. I'm with you in solidarity, but yeah, you're going to hate football this week. You're going to want to sue Roger Goodell for making you watch that game.
I want to sue Roger Goodell for flexing my Chiefs out of Monday night, and now I have to watch Nick Brinks' smut peddling on my computer to watch the Chiefs.
I sent you the link. I sent you a link. Don't even act like you're just gonna complain about that. I sent you a good link.
I like to complain, so it's fine.
Oh, I'm aware at this point.
Steve Delaney wants to know if Jordan's going to be required to shave his beard and go full mustache. He hopes so.
Oh my gosh! So that's all they allow. I was just talking to my buddy who's on the force, and everybody's got beards, and I was like, oh, am I required to shave? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, everybody has a beard down there. Well, they did a thing for charity, so they all get to grow beards for the next 2 months. So by the time I start, yes, it'll be either mustache or clean shaven, and I look like a pedophile if I grow a mustache.
No, that's
such a little head.
I was talking to a recruiter about the Air Force, and they told me I had to shave, and I told them I look like an alcoholic stepdad with the beard off. So I haven't had this off since I was 16.
Nice.
And the last one, Tua or Joe Flacco, 6-point passing TD league.
I think you have to go Joe Flacco.
Agreed.
I mean, he's got a valid point about the wind and everything, but I just still think
usually
you take the risk with Tua of them going up 28-0, and then they're just giving the ball off to Mostert and Wilson the whole game and A-Chain.
I mean, look at how the Dolphins were last week with no Tyreek Hill on the field. I mean, Tua looked lost. He didn't know what to do. And you get winds usually don't affect. I mean, 25 mile per hour winds it's no joke, but usually you need to have 30 to 40 mile per hour wind gusts to have it really affect the flight of the ball. So 15 mile per hour winds,
Yeah, and Joe Flacco's not getting the ball that far up into.
Yeah, and I was gonna say it's like I think the farthest ball he's thrown like that wasn't just a throwaway ball, was like maybe a 15-yard play. Like it's that's why Elijah Moore's been doing good, is because everyone's too focused on Cooper going deep and he's just throwing these short passes.
We need Nick back on the show to talk about pansy arm quarterbacks and how, you know, the wind stream. There we go. There's the words. All right. El Rapido Fire, guys. Who's your top quarterback this week?
Joe Flacco. No, give me Stafford.
Give me Jordan Love, man. Give me Jordan Love.
Jordan Love, Jordan.
Give me Dak Prescott.
I like that.
Running
I
back.
don't want to say it. Kyron Williams.
Give me McCaffrey. Go with the old classic.
Now I got to think of somebody. Derrick Henry.
At that point, I'll just say Tajay Spears. Wide receiver.
CeeDee Lamb.
Gabe Davis. It's 2.
Jalen Waddell. Tight end.
I'll go with, I don't want to say a Conquo. I'll go Isaiah Likely. Long shot. I think he just sneaks like 2 catches for 60 yards and a touchdown somehow in there.
Let's go with see if he can do it back-to-back weeks. David Njoku.
I'm going to actually switch up on my wide receiver. I'm going to say Rashee Rice. And then I'm going to give a little bit of Kansas City Chief betting advice. So this is automatically going to lose, do the opposite. But I really like the over on rushing yards for Patrick Mahomes today. And then whatever you can bet on unders for Travis Kelce. He might have a 0 catches for 0 yards day. That's what the Patriots do. They take away your best option. Not only is Travis Kelce our best option, he's our only option.
Okay, you got yeah, I couldn't think of one.
Rashee Rice is pretty good. He looks good.
Yeah. If only y'all had like a speedster that could just go off for 100 yards like at any moment. Like just throw it down the field 50 yards and he'd catch it.
They won the Super Bowl without him. I don't want to hear it. And before we get to the last one that's normally on here, we're not going to have another quote-unquote live for fantasy sake before Christmas. So what's your favorite Christmas movie?
Die Hard.
All right. Hey, I'm not going to argue with you.
You got to go the classic, right? Christmas Story.
I like Christmas.
So we watch A Christmas Story every year. Like, because it's just on TBS or whatever, TNT, whatever.
Yeah, all day.
It's just all day long, which I like it. So I've grown to like it because I've never seen it before. But if I had to go with my all-time favorite Christmas movie, it's probably Jingle All the Way.
It's a good movie. Quality
I love
film.
that movie.
I'm going to go with the controversial one, Elf. I always feel like people either love it or hate it, and that's always my go-to.
I don't like
Christmas Story just because I had an official Red Ryder BB gun as a kid. I didn't shoot my eye out, but there's a BB lodged in my rib right now that my parents didn't know about until they watched today's show. So that's going to be a fun call after the show.
And then what game are you watching that's not your game today?
Feed me the gross angry game. We're watching Carolina Atlanta. I hate myself. I just want everyone to know it. I hate myself more than Doug hates Chicago sports teams.
I'm going to be watching. I've got a lot invested, so I'm getting ready. I'm going to put out the ladder challenge here in about 5 minutes. Green Bay, Tampa Bay. That'll be the game that I'm watching.
I think that's gonna be a fun game. Like it has all the potential to be like 7-3 or 55-54.
Yeah, dude, I hope it's not 7-3. Otherwise, the ladder challenge is going down in flames. It's gonna be
Listen,
so
bro,
bad.
do you know how funny it was seeing like Baker Mayfield's lowest line available for betting was like 150 for passing yards? Like just to see how he went from like, oh, he'll throw for 250 a game to like Zach Wilson level numbers.
Matt Patricia is apparently the Eagles' new defensive coordinator.
What?
Yeah. All right. Well, wasn't he like something or somewhere?
Oh, Eagle assistant. He's calling the plays for the defensive coordinator this week.
All righty. And I am going to hate watch the Bills and Cowboys today. So I hope both teams lose. No, I hope the Cowboys. I don't want the Cowboys to win, so I just want the Bills to lose.
Well, that's no fun.
I don't like that either team.
I hope the Panthers dominate so well that they just say, you know what, by committee, we'll put them into the playoffs just so Joe has something to talk about. And then Bryce Young wins the MVP, Rookie of the Year. Miles Sanders goes off for 9 touchdowns because I need 10 rushing touchdowns for a future bet.
Shouldn't you want the Panthers to win so they leave Arthur Smith on the tarmac or something?
Listen, the only thing I hate more than Arthur Smith is the owner of the Panthers. Like, I like living in that area. Like, a lot of people hate him. He's such an asshole. Like, he stole like $80 million from a town. Like, faking. He said he was going to build a complex and then backed out after he got the money. So there's like a half-open practice complex in South Carolina.
If the Falcons make the playoffs, you should just have to rock the Arthur Smith mustache for a couple months.
Bro, this is never coming off. Like,
I like that. Well, just trim it really short and just keep the mustache.
If the Falcons make the playoffs, I will. If the Falcons win in the first round of the playoffs, I'll shave the whole beard off for the next stream. If they make it past the wild card.
Interesting. All right, for Officer K over there, and Dan the Parlay Man, hashtag Fade Dan. I'm your host. Oh, and for No Show Winkle, I'm DJ. We'll see some sort of convoluted recording next week because it's Christmas Eve. Dan will probably be here because nobody loves Dan. So
TJ bet Devin Booker triple-double. Just letting y'all know that.
Good luck on your matchups this week. Hope everybody's bets are winners, even the ones that are opposite of Dan's.